yourself?
I guess I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. So 45, that's a good age. Did you ever dream you'd be a foreign minister when Mr. Mahama won the election? Was this something that was on the radar all along?
Well, first of all, let me extend warm regards to you and to all our viewers, and to thank the President for the honor. It's a profound honor the President has done me. I really prepare myself for every opportunity to serve the country. Recall that I was ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee for about 7.5 years.
Two parliaments?
For 2 parliaments. And then for the last half of the year, I was asked to chair the Government Assurances Committee, but I was retained on the Foreign Affairs Committee to offer guidance to the new leadership. And I think that I was really prepared as ranking member for this role. So it didn't come to me as a surprise, I have to be honest.
When your name came up, some people felt you were too young. Some people also felt that your type of politics was confrontational and that diplomacy required people who were more tactful. What did you make of that, and how have you adjusted yourself since you took over?
Well, I don't know about confrontational politics. I mean, if you are assertive, if you are a politician who has conviction, it may be misconstrued as being confrontational. I will vehemently disagree. I choose my words carefully. I choose my courses carefully. I always make sure that I have evidence, I have basis. If you look at the work we did in opposition, all the exposés, I mean, we have been vindicated. I mean, you take National Cathedral, for example. It's clear, if you look at all the audits that are out now, even by world-renowned audit firms. It's confirmed all the things we're talking about. All of the work we did leading to oral, when we talked about state capture, when we talked about the need to protect the public purse, the need to have standards in governance, to have principle, to make sure that we really follow best practice. I mean, a lot of the things we were calling for here in Ghana were being done elsewhere. And you see, when we talk about the democratic dividend and why we must make sure that we all commit ourselves to best practice, it is for a collective good, because you look across the continent and you see how poll after poll, the latest Afrobarometer, saying that the people's confidence in democracy is waning, and people are even beginning to romanticize that perhaps military regimes are better, you know, which is a very dangerous prospect. But it is because people think that in the name of democracy, there's no accountability, there's no transparency. I mean, there's no value for money. For example, when it comes to contracting, there's a lot of cronyism, sweetheart deals, and all of that. And when you have conviction and you say that let's do things properly, then people want to call you names. You know, let's call the dog a bad name and hang it. So I wouldn't say that that was
but what about the view
confrontational politics? It's the politics of principle, the politics of conviction, the politics to stand up for what is right, that let us all commit. And remember, I've been an activist virtually all my life. You know,
I'm not even questioning the forthrightness. Well, I think the main question has to do with the style of putting out what you believe in the public, as against now representing the foreign policy of a country where what you personally think doesn't matter. I think that's a real issue. It's not whether you are honest or not. So, for example, you had a lot of views you shared on many things as a politician, but now you are the country's chief diplomat.
Absolutely.
And the diplomat, somebody said, is the person who can tell somebody, excuse my French, to go to hell, but the person would not be angry. So it's a different style.
And will actually look forward to the trip.
That's my point. So there's obviously a change that's required in your approach to sharing your convictions, is there not?
If you really listen to the average Ghanaian and you even follow world politics now, the masses are moving away from political correctness and the politics of deception and insincerity. Increasingly, they want to see their leaders being more forthright, more truthful. And I will disagree that diplomacy is to be deceptive and to be pretentious.
The word is tactful.
You know,
my word is tactful. Those are not my words. Tactful.
So yes,
not pretentious. You can speak the truth, but be tactful.
Yes, and there's a lot of tact in what we do. Statecraft, having the skill, the right nuance, you know, that level of consciousness must always be brought to bear. And so far, to the extent that if you look at our foreign relations, we are in very good terms with all countries of the world. I mean, it was Kwame Nkrumah who said that our raison d'etre must be to be friends of all and enemies to none. That should really undergird our foreign policy. And you look at how, since President Mahama was sworn in on the 7th of January 2025, you notice that we are in very, very good terms. I mean, before we came into power, relations were getting fractured. You recall the Burkina Faso episode, for example, when our president had a hot mic episode, and it was as though he was reporting them to the Americans.
This is our former president.
Over Wagner, our former president, Akufo-Addo. And I recall that being ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, there was a lot of anxiety and trepidation about the fallout. I mean, our ambassador was recalled and all of that. Now you see a new situation where, with greater skill, greater finesse, greater tact, we are in good terms with everybody. There's good neighborliness. The AES countries, they were the president's inauguration. The president returned the favor, visited them, has become like the de facto leader. Before he came in, remember that there was a lot of animosity, even the prospect of war, an invasion by ECOWAS troops. He's calmed down matters. He's brought a lot of pragmatism. He's pursued rapprochement. And we are in very good terms with these AES countries. At the same time, good terms with the ECOWAS leaders, with AU leaders. I mean, you look at our diplomatic relations, even though you will say probably Qatar and Israel at the worst time of their relations, we are in very good terms with both of them. We have diplomatic ties with them. They have embassies here. You take China, you take US. We are in good terms with all of them. They are all approaching us, requesting favors. They want us to deepen ties. I mean, if I show you the tall list ahead of the UN General Assembly meeting, the bilateral requests, virtually all the world leaders want to meet our president. That should tell you that we are doing something right.
So we are friends of all, enemies of none.
Enemies of
none.
But
is it always a good thing? For example, you said we are friends with both Israel and Qatar. I think the UN this week has said that Israel has committed genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. This is the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the occupied Palestinian territory. I'm quoting their report, which was released September 16.
Yes.
Clearly, the body that brings the world together has a position. Should Ghana say, because we are friends to both, we shouldn't take a definite stance on a critical issue like this?
So as I've been telling the diplomats when I meet them, that our culture is that even though we are good friends with you, a good friend is the one who is able to look you in the face and say, look, this time you didn't get it right. This path you have pursued is a wrong course. So we have great ties with the Israelis, with the Palestinians. They've all established fiscal, diplomatic presence here. We haven't declared any of them persona non grata. We've not cut ties with any of them. But we are able to point out, we agree that what is going on in the Gaza Strip is genocide. We haven't minced words at all. I've had the opportunity to engage my counterpart, the foreign minister in Israel, the ambassador here, and we've made clear our point. At the same time, we have also solidarized with the Palestinians. I mean, for the first time, we were able to make an impressive donation to them. We are probably the only African country that has been able to send aid to Palestine, made in Ghana, chocolates, cocoa products, and we thought that we should solidarize and establish the fact that we are not going to sit by and watch these atrocities go on and not be able to bring our humanity, to bear. So yes, the way we have gone about it, and even if you look at our votes, we currently serve on the UN Human Rights Council. We have consistently, you heard the Israeli ambassador recently say that we've been voting against them and we should change course. Of course, what he did was meddling in our internal decision-making processes, and I had to invite him and certainly express our disquiet about what he said. And he's since, desisted from that kind of conduct. But you see our voting pattern, and it's clear that we are aligned with the UN, we are aligned with the larger part of the international community. If you look at the recent vote on the Palestinian question, 142 countries voted for the resolution against what is going on in Palestine. And Ghana was there. We're on the right side of history. We didn't join those 10 countries who voted against and the 12 who abstained. We should tell you that even though we are conscious to be good friends of all, but it is...
On certain matters, you take principled positions.
We take principled positions on those matters, and we don't allow the friendship and the good relations to mar, because it's about international law, it's about the respect for the UN Charter, it's about sovereignty. And
so I
it's
think
about
that point is
UN
clear.
resolutions.
So our voting pattern for Israel, but in relation, on the Israel matter, in relation to the UN General Assembly next week, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, will the president make a statement on what's happening in Gaza?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you follow the president's speeches at the United Nations, he's been very consistent. He will remind the world that we must recommit to the two-state solution. He disagrees with Netanyahu, who says that there can be only one state and that they have to clear the Gaza Strip. That is not a position consistent with the UN Charter. So the president will make clear that Ghana remains committed to the two-state solution. Of course, you will expect him to also speak on the Cuban blockade. He has been very, very consistent on that. There's been no UN speech, if you go through all his UN speeches, where he doesn't condemn the sanctions, the US sanctions on Cuba. Even though we have great relations with the Americans. Recently, you know that we have an understanding with them to accept West African nationals who have been pouring into our country. At the same time, we are maintaining great ties with Cuba. We're receiving a lot of Cuban medical doctors, the Cuban Medical Brigade. So we are a country that ought to be studied. How we are able to navigate
since you brought the, I take that.
Really
since you brought the US
relations.
Prisoner issue, I listened to the president when he met us on the 10th, a week ago today, and he did admit that our relationship with the US, even though it was okay, was not necessarily at the best of places because of Mr. Trump's policies, his tariffs. So it's a bit baffling for us to, in a sense, do the US this favor of receiving 14 deportees who are not even Ghanaians into our country. I mean, Mr. Trump hosted 5 African presidents in the second term. Mr. Mahama wasn't one of them. So I'm not sure Ghana and US are as cozy as they probably were when Mr. Obama was president and Mahama was here. So why did we agree to this?
So let's be clear. We didn't agree to this because we agree with President Trump's immigration policies. We are not doing the US a favor. We are doing our fellow Africans a favor. We are offering them refuge. We are offering them succor. We are offering them hope. We want them to come back home and be comfortable. We solidarize with them when we see those images, the arrests, the violation of their rights, being detained against their will, and it's as though nobody wants to take them. So it was purely on humanitarian basis, and we have made clear that we did not accept any financial benefit whatsoever. We are doing this because we want to continue to position Ghana as that country which has always been the Mecca for Africans, for freedom fighters. We will avail ourselves to help fellow Africans in distress.
So pardon my ignorance.
So it is not about
Fair enough. Pardon my ignorance. If you have 14
Africans,
Africans, 1 Nigerian 30 Nigerians, 1 Gambian. Why wouldn't their governments take them? Why do we have to take them?
Yes, so you do know that the Americans have been approaching governments they consider friendly. That's what, at least when they engage me, and I've been to the State Department on numerous occasions for these talks, and they have indicated that they are approaching countries they consider friendly countries.
Despite the
allies.
The tariffs.
You know, the tariffs
the
were
10%.
The tariffs were general, really.
Okay.
He slapped it on all countries, so they have said that don't use that to judge our relations. Everybody, you know, received
the MCC too. We are not getting.
Trump's. Yes, and really for the MCC, it was our own doing.
AGOA is also off.
The PDS and all of that. Yes,
but AGOA, we are still a friendly country.
We are clearly a friendly country because they approached us.
Okay.
And I think that if you look at the region, in terms of what we are doing with the Americans, the strategic cooperation we have, even with intelligence sharing, with security, we have a lot going on in health. Even despite the withdrawal of the U.S. AID support, there's still a lot of cooperation in the health sector. You take the energy sector, communication sector. So there's a wide spectrum of cooperation that the two countries enjoy. And it is within that spirit. Remember that we are the 5th African country after Rwanda, Uganda, Eswatini, and another country. We are the 5th country and the only only country in West Africa. The only country so far approached in West Africa by the Americans. And we thought that, look, West Africans already under the ECOWAS protocol can visit any country visa-free, stay for 90 days. So on principle, on humanitarian grounds, Pan-African solidarity, let us accept our fellow West Africans. And let's make the point that Ghana is your home. We are not going to allow you to
accept them to keep them here or accept them to send them back to their countries.
So the choice is theirs, really. For 90 days, if they want to stay here, they can stay. But so far, all of them have indicated that they want to go back after some time, and we've been facilitating that. I can reveal to you that we are expecting another 40.
Another 40?
Another 40 in the next few days.
Of which nationalities?
West Africans. The understanding we have is that it will be West Africans. And don't forget that...
Do you vet them before they come?
Yes, we vet them.
What caveats do you give the Americans?
So we have said that...
Who is not acceptable?
Hardened criminals, convicted criminals. When the background check reveals that you've associated with terrorism, with violent extremism, you are a very violent person. You are on a certain Interpol wanted list for violent crimes, because we have the data. You will not be allowed in our country. So it's really people who probably
why didn't you ratify the MOU with Parliament?
Yes, so it's an MOU at this stage, just an understanding, and MOUs are not ratified. But
really?
as the discussions continue,
if it
is elevated to an agreement.
The Guantanamo 3, some people took the matter to court, and I think the Supreme Court held that whatever name you give it, when two countries come up with an arrangement, that places obligations on both of them. Whether you call it a treaty, a contract, it requires ratification. It was a majority decision. Only one person dissented. So I'm a bit surprised you're saying because it's an MOU, it means that it oughtn't have gone to Parliament. The judgment was very clear on the Guantanamo 3, that Article 75 was violated, which says international agreements must go through Parliament. And you are a 4th MP, so at least you could have gone to Parliament. And you have a massive majority. So what's the problem?
No, I agree with you. And that is why I said at the press conference I held a couple of days ago that when this is elevated beyond an MOU and it's a full agreement, we will go to Parliament under Article 75 and have it ratified. At this point, it is just a loose understanding.
The agreement is enforced. But how can you enforce? How can you enforce something you call a loose agreement? That is already enforced. You've brought 14. You're bringing 40.
Look, I've inherited so many MOUs that didn't go to Parliament for ratification, and
But because of the precedent of the Gitmo 3, I felt like this was, and you know this. So is it an oversight? Are you going to apologize for it, or you don't think you made a mistake?
No, it's not an oversight because we sought the Attorney General's advice. It was discussed in Cabinet, and the Attorney General's advice, and his counterpart, the Attorney General on the U.S. side, also said that, look, this is an MOU, and MOUs do not require ratification. That is why...
The Attorney General is wrong, because the judgment is clear. I can read it.
Oh, you know better law than the Attorney General?
At least the law is there for all of us to read. Unless the English reading of what the Supreme Court said is different to all of us.
I didn't see MOUs in that judgment.
The language of Article 75 is perfectly clear. The article forms part of the set of provisions governing the role of the executive arm of government in Ghana's international relations. I'm reading the judgment. Yeah. The scope of the article deals with treaties in general. The side notes and the body of the text makes reference to treaties, agreements, and conventions. It is also clear that the instruments referred to relate to Ghana's international relations with other countries or groups of countries, and the article requires that such instruments must be ratified by Parliament. The Constitution makes no mention of any formal distinctions that are dependent on the formality with which such an instrument is formatted or brought into being. Then it goes on to even list MOUs, etc. This is the judgment. This is Sophia Kufu. I'm not the one saying it. So I don't know whether you're saying because the AG says, in fact, if the argument of the defendant in the state, the government, were to be taken seriously, that the transaction being by way of note verbal, executive agreement, memorandum of understanding, diplomatic note, or what have you, is merely an administrative one, then the question arises as to the exact status of the said persons now that they are in Ghana. Are they migrants? It's a long argument. It basically says, once two countries agree on something of that nature, Parliament must ratify. It's very clear.
We are working with the Attorney General's advice, and the Attorney General's advice is that when this is elevated to an agreement, it can be ratified. At this point, there's no need for ratification. So
the 40 are also coming?
Yes.
Okay.
And
on humanitarian grounds?
Yes, and don't forget that we also are receiving Ghanaians. So it's not only other West Africans, but there are 166 Ghanaians we are expecting this year. Before
166 Ghanaians?
Yes. Before,
after that, we have no problem.
Before December.
There are people, so they should come.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't the Nigerians accept their own people?
They haven't rejected them, all those who... We've called them that, look, your people are here. We're taking
because I'm sure you are aware that the U.S. court has also judged that even though what Trump did is wrong, they can't stop it. You get it? So it's almost like we are helping the administration commit an illegality. At least per the judge in the U.S. who was adjudicating on the matter that was sent by two of those who were deported.
Look, we have always been a Pan-African country. We will always stand up for fellow Africans. We will give them a safe haven. We will give them refuge. Okay. We will not sit idle by and allow their rights to be so violated as though they have no home and nowhere to go to. And I must commend our neighbors so far. None of them have protested. The Nigerians have been accepting those who are transiting through Ghana. The Gambians have accepted their fellow Gambian. And indications are that the 40 coming, when we've contacted our counterparts on the other side, they are happy to receive them. So if the Nigerians are not complaining, I don't know why we should complain. The Gambians are not complaining.
We'll take a break. This is the point of view. Tonight, our guest is the foreign minister. He has a lot on his plate. I think he's the busiest of the ministers, apart from the president. We'll deal with a few other issues when we come back. There are some Ghanaians in neighboring countries. He went to the Ivory Coast to visit them. We'll take a report on that. And then there are other matters to be addressed in the interview. We are live, so you can send us your comments. Stay with us.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valexlease Affordable Document Management Solutions.
his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late,
Of course.
Star 712 hush, star 712 hush. You go give me the luckiest. Copy from Georgia be luckiest. From not the pure cause she be luckiest. Me and you go give me luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back. Tonight, our guest is the Minister for Foreign Affairs, who's also the MP for North Tongue, and he's Okudzeto Ablakwa. Next week, there's a UN General Assembly. The President will be going, and he will be addressing the world. I think it's on the 4th or 5th. They will deal with all of that. You were in Cote d'Ivoire. There were 13,000 Ghanaians displaced by some of the conflicts. 8,000 are back. 5,000 are still out there. Why didn't you bring them with you when you were coming back?
Yes, so I did appeal to them. I delivered a special message from President Mahama, which also appealed to them to return, to give them confidence that the compatriots, the over 8,000 who have returned, are safe. Nothing has happened to them. They have not come back to join them in the camps. So that should give them the full confidence that calm has been restored. There's been massive domination of the communities with police and military patrol teams, making sure that the Kwenyere area is safe. And I am quite confident that they will all return. Some of them adopting a wait and see approach, but looking at the pace at which they are returning. And I think that the whole episode really, it's very unfortunate. I did ask that we should learn to live together. There are too many of these flashpoints, communal clashes. If it's not land, it's chieftaincy, feudal tensions. We cannot build a nation that way. And I did also ask that they should forgive each other. There should be no reprisal attacks, and made reference to the mediation committee that has been set up to bring this is a matter to do with various ethnic groups, the Gonjas, the Brefos, the Lobbies. We've always lived together. But let me use this opportunity to really pay glowing tribute to the Ivorians. I was welcomed by my counterpart, Foreign Minister Adom, who went around with me. And the Ivorians told me that, look, remember that in 2010, 2011, Ghana, you were there for us. There were about 17,000 of us when we had those difficult, political clashes. You offered us refuge. And that is why I use this episode to remind all of us that we are neighbors. Let's be more embracing. In recent times, you recall that I've had to calm down tensions. There was a certain anti-Nigerian sentiment coming up. Of course, what that gentleman
the so-called
said,
Igbo
kingdom. It was totally out of place. It was incendiary, reckless, and unacceptable. I summoned him to the office. He apologized. He issued a public statement retracting and apologizing to the president, to everybody. The Nigerian foreign minister came in on President Tinubu's instruction to apologize, calm waters. Unfortunately, some people wanted to continue with demonstrations and all, but I'm glad that the larger Ghanaian society has calmed down. So it's important in the spirit of good neighborliness, that we are always there for each other. It was Ghanaians helping Ivorians not too long ago, helping the Burkinabés not too long ago, and now it is.
But some can argue that the time they came here, they had a full-blown civil war.
Yeah.
This was more a communal clash.
Yeah.
So to have 13,500 in Cote d'Ivoire and another 2,000 in Burkina, that's quite high.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, you did make a donation on behalf of the state to them. Why didn't you organize their return? Because you did go and see the conditions in which you were living. Why did you opt for the voluntary return? Why didn't you say, look, Ghana is a peaceful country. The president has asked me to bring you back home. So come.
You know, diplomatically, you also do not want to create the impression to the Ivorians that you don't appreciate their gesture and you are, you know, virtually, you know, disregarding what they've done. So it's a delicate balance. You are thanking them for their warmth, their hospitality, but at the same time, you are urging your compatriots to return. And I believe that they will take our advice and return. Remember that the cash donation was also to help them with logistical arrangements to return. But
on their own?
On their own. We want them to do it on their own, so that it's not as though we are forcing them, they are not too sure, and we are compelling them to return. So I think that opting for that voluntary approach in the circumstances.
What conditions
is the
did
best.
you find them? Because when this happened, the Ivorian media reported the conditions were quite squalid, particularly the Ivory Coast one. So how convinced were you that the 5,000 people, if they were to stay in Cote d'Ivoire for another 1 month, in fact, there was a report that disease could even break out because of the conditions they were living in.
Yeah.
So what did you see? And are you sure that it's a good idea to make their coming back voluntary?
So by the time I arrived, I have to commend NADMO. NADMO had sent in a great deal of relief items, including food, water, medicines, blankets. And as I interacted with them, they told me that they were doing quite fine. In terms of the food items, they have no shortages.
Okay.
Then we added the cash donation. So I think that conditions have improved, but let's be honest, when you are living like a refugee, like a destitute in another country, that's not your home, you don't have, you know, the comfort of your amenities. I went into the rooms. They don't have furniture, they don't have beds, they just have to lie on the bare floor. Some, you know, very, you know, poor setting, mats. You know, it's not a situation that is ideal. That is the best. So even though we've provided relief items, medicines, money, and all of that, we really will renew our appeal to them to return home. They are largely farmers. They have cattle as well. They are cattle rearers. These are people who on their own are doing well. And it's important that they return.
What about those in Burkina
home.
Faso? Were you able to see them? I asked because Burkina Faso, we know, parts of it have not been stable.
Yes.
So it's one thing to have your people in Cote d'Ivoire, but it's an entirely different thing to have them in Burkina Faso, southwest. Were you able to go there?
No, I haven't been able to go to Burkina Faso personally, but I dispatched our embassy staff there, and they provide me with daily reports. And the latest information is as of yesterday is that the numbers have reduced from 2,500 to about 1,600. And we expect that by next week, we should have a total return to Ghana. So the situation is improving. Unfortunately, we had a lot of difficulty traveling, landing. Our aircraft could not land a couple of times. I had to then eventually fly to Tamale and then go by road, crossing the bridge into the Vonkoro area in Cote d'Ivoire.
Because there was presumably no airport there.
Yes.
Very remote area to get to.
Yeah.
Speaking of travel, the president's most recent visit was to Singapore and Japan.
Yes.
And I heard you list a lot of the benefits. Generally, there's East-West geopolitical issues, am I right to say that Mahama in his second term seems to be more Eastern-facing? India's prime minister has been here. I mean, he's part of BRICS as a high-level leader.
Yes.
You've been to Japan, Singapore, and I'm sure he's going to go to China soon.
Definitely.
He'll go to US next week, but not at the invitation of President Trump.
Yeah.
So is Ghana tilting more to the east than to the traditional west? Can I make that conclusion?
Let's put it this way. Ghana is strengthening its ties within the global south. There's a strong South-South alliance emerging.
Okay.
And we believe that if you look at what is happening in the West now, they are more focused on Ukraine and they are focused on their internal security. At this point, it doesn't really appear that they want to be outward looking. Yes, they are maintaining ties, they consider us good friends, but in terms of really trade volumes, new strategic cooperation, and business deals, they are rather under pressure because US is not really supporting NATO as they have done in the past. They are all trying to ramp up 5% of GDP to build a strong internal national security resistance because they fear that Russia may have intentions to go back to the empire era. And so they are all living in that fear. Now, if you read the dynamics that way, you will not want to bother them too much. A strategic country and leader would want to turn to those who really, are available and want to be more buoyant with their external relations. And at this point in time, it is the global south, India, China, the Gulf countries, Japan, South Korea. These are the countries that, if you look at their numbers, it's been going up and they have made a lot of offers. Japan has announced $1.5 billion in investment in Africa. And they want African countries to present strategic cooperation document to benefit from that. China is also looking at its Belt and Road initiatives. Recently, I signed a $30 million grant for an Aflao market. They are looking at even more, projects in Ghana. They have extended a special invitation to President Mahama. So in October, he will be President Xi's guest in Beijing. So when you have, these countries, and you've talked about Narendra Modi visiting us, the historic visit, no Indian president has visited Ghana in more than 30 years. So it should tell you that there's also appetite on their side, and with what President Trump is also doing with all of these tariff wars, they are looking for new markets. So we have to position ourselves. And as President Mahama reminds us, this is a time in all of this adversity and uncertainty, this fragility, this fracture, this turbulence, we should position ourselves to take full advantage. And that's what we are doing within a global South framework. And that really
we understand
has
this.
been our strategic
the
position.
Chinese leader met some world leaders recently and sort of presented an alternative view of global leadership.
Yes.
So I feel the concern is that the Western world has a certain model, and the Chinese leader possibly is the leader of the third world or whatever they want to call it. So we may be forced to make a decision because you've said friends to all, enemies to none. Ghana historically was non-aligned. So instead of the Cold War, which was in the 80s, it looks like there's going to be America versus everybody else. And we may be forced to make a choice. How are we navigating that? Because the Chinese are actually offering a model of world leadership. They are not basically saying just do business. They're saying our way is better than the American way. And we know they and Americans have been at localized for a while. So as we cozy up to the so-called South-South, we are also going to then be potentially alienating ourselves from the US, who have traditionally, in your own words, been a good friends to Ghana.
So my mentor, the Osagefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, navigated very skillfully at the height of the Cold War, was able to get American support for the Akosobo Dam project. At the same time, got Russian support for our atomic agency. And he navigated very beautifully, founded the non-aligned movement, which Ghana is proud of as a founder. We are not going to be making choices. We will not leave anyone behind. We will not give anybody the cold shoulder. Yes, some people are busy with their internal security. We grant them that. Some are withdrawing aid, some are imposing tariffs. It's their national, choice to make. But we will not get so offended as to say that we are cutting ties or we don't want to relate with you. But those who are willing at this point to work with us, those who are excited about new corporations, deepen ties, we'll work with them. As and when they think they are resolving their national security concerns and they want to come back to their traditional friends, we will be all hands open and all embracing. So it's really just about being strategic and navigating.
There's a concern about
we are not
what's
going to
in
be
it
making
for us.
choices.
So this is a broad question, but I'll use a case study. So I feel like we go to FOCAC, we go to TICAD, we go to US, Africa, whatever. It's almost like even the Russians are doing the same thing. We Africans just go to listen to the agenda of the Americans, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Russians. What is our agenda? What is in it for us? What are we taking there, right? And which is why some people feel like these countries use us. So a lot of people feel like these 14 people who were brought in, is basically Americans using us. Some people even feel the Chinese, the closer we get to them, they do great things for us, but some of their people come and misbehave. Galamsey as an example. So I'm a bit worried about, it feels like everybody's inviting us supposedly to help us. But who are we inviting? What is our strategic, what are we also looking for? Because I don't know.
So if you have observed our foreign policy posture, we go into these meetings with what we want. When President Mahama arrived in Japan, he had a 10-point agenda. The Volivo Bridge was one. He wanted it revived. He needed $100 million for agriculture. The $1.5 billion Japan wants to invest. We submitted our project proposals. So we go with our agenda. When he arrived in Singapore, he knew that Olam wants to expand. We told them that we are ready, provided incentives. Immediately they agreed and said they will come and establish a 43,000-ton factory for pasta, which they have started. They hope to complete next year. Then he talks about the accommodation situation in our universities. He says, start with a pilot. I want 10,000 hostels at the University of Ghana. They are about to start that. He goes to their lab for testing. He says that we have an issue with poor quality of roads, and he wants testing labs to be established for quality construction materials. That is being done. So he had his agenda before arriving. We meet, we strategize, we have a paper before we go for this, and we don't really care about what others are doing. So then if you've also noticed, check the bilateral negotiations I've been having with my counterparts. When the Serbian foreign minister came to meet me, what did I present on the table? I said, I need visa waiver. I need jobs, a labor mobility agreement. And it's been granted. We've signed them. When I met my German counterpart, I said, we want a labor mobility agreement because you have an aging population. We have a very youthful population, median age of about 20.
I see.
You know, we must benefit. So I've been telling colleagues at the foreign ministry that, look, it's no longer going to be about just conferences and popping champagne and dressing nicely. It has to be impactful.
And what are we giving in return?
You
listed the
impactful
things. You listed the things that
so
Japanese will
visa
give us.
waivers.
What is it going to cost us?
We are getting visa waivers. We are getting scholarships.
No, I'm saying
we are getting projects, funding for our projects.
What are we giving in return? Access to our markets.
Access to
our because some people feel like you give off, not a problem. All the things that are nice things we need.
Yeah.
But these are products, a bridge, a factory. But some people feel you are giving away your sovereignty, all right? Your ability to say no. And I go back to China because we do know that there is a province in China where a lot of the people who come and either do illegal mining or sponsor it come from. So whilst you are collecting all these products, you are also giving away your freedom.
Not at all. I went to that city, Nanin. I went there myself, met with the mayor, met with the governor. After that, I announced new visa measures that we are no longer accepting group visa applications.
Is that the problem? Is group visa
yes,
or single visa the problem?
Because when we did the analysis, coming in droves, claiming they are coming for conferences and they have all kinds of conventions, it turns out they are just coming to do galamsey. And so it doesn't allow for our officers to vet them properly. So once it's a single application, you are able to vet thoroughly to really assess what the person is coming to do. If it's not a credible businessman or a credible tourist, you deny them the visa. So in as much as we have been out there looking for good deals for our country, we have not been pushovers. We have been very, very firm.
There's a concern that the issue of foreigners in galamsey, this government has not been truthful to us. When Aisha Oman was deported without being prosecuted, you took issue with that. You wrote and criticized Osafo Maafo for this. This government seems to have the same policy. When Muntaka met the press, he said, when we catch foreigners in galamsey, we will deport them. He didn't say they will prosecute them. He was very bold and told the media that when a foreigner is caught, we will deport you. That is a complete betrayal of the position you and other leading members of your party took in opposition.
So once again, as a cabinet minister, I'm not aware that there's been a cabinet decision against prosecutions and that we should just deport. I think that at that point, the Honorable Muntaka was offering probably a personal, analysis of the situation, because as a cabinet minister, I do know that there's been no cabinet position on that matter. And my personal position on this is still consistent, that there should be prosecution. We have to treat everybody equally. You prosecute, they should serve time if they are found guilty, and then after which they can be deported. We shouldn't have an animal farm situation. We shouldn't have a situation where it's as though we are treating foreigners better than we treat our own people, especially when sometimes they are the ones who are the real, culprits, who are bringing in all these chamfines and these excavators. So, sometimes we need to really look at the context.
The Interior Minister is the one in charge of internal security. So if he tells the media that this is what we are doing, that cannot be his personal view. Because you are not the implementing ministry. In fact, you said that on Monday, that your job is for those who come in, or in fact, your job is foreign affairs. So the Interior Minister, the one whose ministry oversees the police, the immigration, and the prisons, is telling Ghanaians on record that they will deport foreigners for them to be treated in their own country. That's, I mean, foreigners engaged in galamsey to face immediate deportation. In fact, you actually said it yourself too.
If you
April 7.
Yes, if you play that video, I talked about prosecution and deportation.
But your colleague did. Your colleague said we're just deporting. Interior Minister.
And I've said that it's not the cabinet position.
So did you raise it in the next cabinet meeting that Interior Minister, what you are saying risks being misconstrued as our position, because in opposition we said this is a wrong policy. Did you raise that in cabinet?
I do know that as we speak, the current Attorney General is prosecuting foreign nationals. I don't want to appear to be picking on, even though we know there's a suspect. Prosecutions are going on. And the President has said in cabinet that prosecute. Let's make an example of that.
Okay.
So I don't think
Since you're on the Galamsey subject,
I don't think that was a cabinet position.
And not to pick on you, you listed 15 things you said Akufo-Addo could do to fight galamsey. I don't have time to read all. I can only see about 3 that this government has done. You listed 15 things. One of which was you said something about what the embassy in China should do, which is directly related to you. But let me read about 3 of them. Instruct the Attorney General and IGP to discontinue the harassment of anti-galamsey protesters. Well, there's no protest, so that's not an issue. Sack all regional ministers who have failed to prevent galamsey as chairs of their respective regional security councils. Sack all MMDCs who have failed to stop galamsey as heads of their respective municipal assemblies. Reshuffle ministers responsible for lands and natural resources, environment, science and technology, etc., etc. Recall all police commanders and national security operatives. Impose a 5-year ban on all forms of small-scale mining. deploy the armed forces to protect our river bodies, immediately stop the issuance of new mining licenses, carry out a shake-up in Ghana's embassy in China, launch an aggressive scientific Green Ghana campaign, provide free comprehensive medical screening and treatment for all Ghanaians affected by galamsey, hefty fines on small-scale mining companies, roadmap, a lot of things. I'm not even sure 20% of this has been done by this government.
We are about 8-9 months in office.
Yeah.
I'm confident that these things will be done. Some of them are being done already. About 44 forests have been reclaimed. And look, let me be very honest with you, that on galamsey, I believe that we can do better. And all of these propositions I made in the past, I still stand by them. Look, at the ministry, when given the opportunity, I hold here the KPIs. This is the first time in the history of our country that the foreign ministry has come up with KPIs for our ambassadors. All our high commissioners and ambassadors, our envoys, must meet these targets. And if you fall short, it's now in the appointment letters that the president signed. It is basis for you to be dismissed. I wish we replicate this in the regions and the districts and have galamsey there, where if in 6 months you are not able to stop galamsey, it means you are complicit. So these are positions I hold here. I still believe in them. Look, if we cannot be decisive, if we can't have conviction, if we cannot say that, look, there are some things that money, material gain should not get in the way. Politics should not get in the way. Then,
Minister,
then it's not worth being in leadership.
The things you proposed are things the president should do. That's my issue now. So fine, this is for people who are within the chain.
Yes.
Replicate that foreign ministry. But a lot of the things that you are calling for, and by the way, this week, the Aguna Nyakrom headworks, Kwanyakun headworks are not working. So 10 districts don't have water. Takwa, the Bonsa headworks are not working. So the same type of thing you were talking about, that our water bodies are being polluted and now we don't have water to drink, it's actually happening. Yes. And you cannot tell me that in 9 months, the president cannot do the things that you thought the former president could do.
I haven't said that. I haven't said that it should not be done, or I haven't said that I'm running away from those proposals. Let's go back to them. I believe that it can be implemented, and President Mahama is showing greater commitment than we saw the former president do. I mean, at least 44 forests have been taken over by the military. Only this morning in a meeting, the president instructed the National Security Council, remember I'm a member of the National Security Council, to even deploy more troops, have permanent camps so that we don't have a situation where when the soldiers leave, then the galamsey guys go back. So the president is working. He means well. He wants to really end this menace. But clearly, there are others who are making his resolve difficult. And I think that he has to crack the whip. And I have no doubt that he will do that. So these are proposals that we should go back to and we should all implement.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll deal with a few other things. Passports, visas. Some people are coming for a diaspora program. Many issues there as well. Plus your comments. Stay with us.
Remember who we are seeing now. At risk of prostate enlargement. We a member or her 20 ebitimi prostate cancer, 5 bitimi afamu nadia obefamu.
Actually, this is not my fault.
And to wada, entina midi mani Executive Prostate Center.
Executive Prostate Center is a unique medical center where we harmonize in-depth traditional medicine with cutting-edge science and technology to cure, to treat, and to prevent diseases like prostate enlargement, prostate cancer.
Executive Prostate Center. Madame facilities no any professional medical care.
Sisi a bibia clear system no. Ye nro ne so de natural. Into we koso afama ye.
Executive Prostate Center. my cured.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trotro from Kaswati. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go give me the luckiest. Go feel from Georgia be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go feel be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go feel be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Wake up in the morning feeling super fine. Don't got no time, yeah. Turn it up, I'ma strut my stuff. You see me walking on the block, can't get enough. Like, nobody can touch me. They wanna be like me, but I got no time to get up, get up, get up. Now let's go. We gotta move on up. We gotta move on up. We gotta move on up. We gotta.
Play me for.
It's go time. We gotta move on up. We gotta move on up. Call me. We gotta move on up. We gotta move on up. Now let's go.
Beautiful. Wow.
Decent cross, wasn't going for it. Out towards goal. That's a superb finish.
When it's go time to supercharge your hustle, make it go time for GoTV.
Now let's go.
Love it.
We're still here with the Foreign Minister, Okudzeto Ablakwa, and we're discussing a wide variety of issues. Thank you for staying. We've gone around many things. Engineer Kenashigbe, who is the leader of Media Coalition, says, Bernard, please ask him about the president's promise for more action. Turbidity of water is now 32,000 NTUs. He adds again. So it's getting worse.
Yeah.
It's getting worse. And I don't know if you have the president's ear, but I really feel like being one of the voices in opposition on galamsey, you need to let the president know that his government's credibility is at risk.
No, absolutely. I've made a point that we should do more, and let me commend Kenashigbe for his consistency and he's a vanguard. He's fighting for our collective survival. I mean, look, we're on a suicidal path if we do not stop this. And look, coming after the tragic loss of the 8 fallen heroes, including my own brother, Dr. Manebwama, I insist, and I've said this time without number, that the only befitting honor we can give their memory is to win this war against galamsey. If not, it means they died in vain. What would those young children think of us, particularly those of us in leadership now, in the same party? They paid the ultimate price, sacrificed their lives in the fight against galamsey. We must take it up and we must win this war. And I insist that we must do more, and I believe we can do more, and I still have tremendous confidence in President Mahama. I told you about the actions he was taking today, the directives he gave, and how he said that they should ramp up, there should be more military deployment. I have every confidence in President Mahama.
The Catholic bishops want him to declare state of emergency in galamsey-prone areas. Do you agree with them?
The president says he wants to exhaust other options. It means that he has more plans and initiatives, to deal with it. I think that we should give him the benefit of the doubt. When you're commander-in-chief, what you see may not be exactly what we can all see. And there's been new measures that he's announced today. Let's see how those new measures play out. But I would insist that we can do better.
Final point, non-related to foreign ministry, but oral. Some people argue that galamsey and oral are two of the big reasons why a lot of people supported your government. And it seems as if the oral momentum has waned, partly because you, who was the leader, you are now foreign minister, some of the other people on oral are doing other jobs. And people are not seeing any loot being recovered. So are you still briefed on oral? Is that still your remit, or you handed over?
No, I've handed over as chairman. But let me say that I agree with pundits and analysts who say that, look, two things. Oral, galamsey. If we don't make sure we succeed in the fight against galamsey and in Operation Recover All Loot, we are doomed. We are finished. I mean, you can't mince words about that. So on oral, I know the Attorney General, as the President announced, has concluded a number of dockets. And after the legal vacation, he's been briefing us in cabinet. He will be filing cases. I would also want to urge the public to look at what sectorial ministers are doing in terms of recovering loot. Okay. That is why at my press conference, I provided a tall list. For example, all the lands that were sold under very, hazy circumstances at the foreign ministry, we have reclaimed that. We've reclaimed all our lands back. The attempt to sell our Lagos property, $1.5 million was paid to this chap, one Mr. Mensa Bonsu, who didn't pay the money to government chest. He has been arrested. We have stopped the sale.
Has the money been recovered?
No, unfortunately not. But at least he's in the firm grips of national security. The attempt to sell the Lusaka property, we've stopped it. The $3.5 million Abidjan renovation, we have stopped it.
I understand now we are not going to be paying rent for some of our embassies. We want to build.
Yes.
Is that more cost effective?
We are spending $50 million on rent every year. And so
$15 million?
Yes, it's atrocious. I mean, with $50 million, you can be owning your own property.
So what's the solution?
So the solution is the strategic transition from rental to developing our own properties.
Okay.
And so the finance minister has appointed a transaction advisor. He's putting together a consortium of banks, and they will be spearheading.
So we are going to build Ghana houses?
Yes, we have 23 countries where, because of our good bilateral relations, they donated land to us.
Free land?
Free land. And some are even threatening to take it back.
Wow.
When we were in Malabo, they're threatening to take it back. That, look, if you don't come in, because you are really devaluing such prime locations. So we've asked them to hold on. We're appealing to them. So Stride will make sure that we build. We started a competition, which is creating some excitement. We want to depart from the era where everything was going to one person, as you recall. So we want architects, everybody to, compete, put up their designs, and we are going to build a Ghana house, embassies that we will own, so that we can save money.
Is this mostly Africa or also Europe?
Europe, Americas, Africa.
We are going to build our own embassies?
Yes.
What timeline are we looking at?
Yes, we are looking at between now and 2028. So in 3 phases, 2026, 2027, 2028. And then from the financial modeling I have seen, we'll pay over a 10-year period with our IGF. So we don't have to go for any loan.
So like the charges for visas and passports?
For visas, for passports, yes, we'll channel that.
2 questions have come. Hello, Bernard. Kindly ask the minister what has happened to the visa-free for all Africans to Ghana announcement.
Yes, so President Akufo-Addo made that announcement in the last days. It is an announcement that we agree with. It's Pan-African, and Ghana should be in the forefront of, visa-free movements on the continent. What we have decided to do is that we'll tie that in with the new e-visa arrangement that will roll out in January next year, so that we'll have a comprehensive rollout. So it's going to be done, but with the e-visa arrangement for...
Do
all those who want to visit our country.
Ghanaians and Africans in the diaspora who come for diaspora events still have to get a visa to come to Ghana?
So those in the diaspora will always have to apply for visas, particularly, we have a lot of our diaspora community in the United States, and they go to Washington or New York to apply for visas. But I announced today that ahead of the Diaspora Summit 2025, there will be no visas required, no visa fees required.
No visa at all?
Yes.
So once they are coming for the diaspora conference?
Once you register and we have the date.
And they are coming as diasporans?
Yes, for the diaspora conference, no visa at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that can become permanent in the future?
Yes, in the future. Because really, I mean, we can't say that we want to reunite. We are the champions of reparations, you know, the mecca of Pan-Africanism, and then people have to pay.
To what extent are you courting them for diaspora investments? Because I believe a lot of Africans in the diaspora want to invest in Ghana and Africa.
You're right. You're right. I've submitted a cabinet memo for what I'm calling the diaspora bond.
Okay.
You know, so that they can invest. We'll use it for projects. Look at what Ethiopia has done with the dam project. You know, largely from funding from Ethiopians in the diaspora. So we want to do something like that, a diaspora bond. And the finance minister is excited about it. His only concern is that we should make it a CD-denominated bond.
So we don't have to pay in dollars.
Exactly, so we don't have to pay in dollars.
So I think the diasporans watching this will be happy to hear this. Yeah. Bernard, respectfully, can you ask the minister to touch on the ongoing challenges faced by many Ghanaians regarding significant delays in the issuance of immigration visas at the U.S. Embassy in Accra? Applicants who have completed all required procedures and fulfilled every obligation continue to experience prolonged waiting times, creating undue hardship for families, professionals, and individuals seeking lawful entry into the U.S. These delays affect family unification, etc., etc. My name is Joseph Bologa. You know him. He was my mate in the secondary school.
Yes.
He used to pray a lot.
Yes, yes.
So he's asking you.
Yeah.
Bologa. Yeah. So what are you doing about the delays? Is that with your remit at all?
Yeah, it is. You recall that I issued a note verbal to all the embassies asking that they treat us with courtesy, with more respect, clear the backlog and stop these long waiting hours. And I've been reminding them. Only this morning I had a good meeting with the acting ambassador, and I brought up this point again, because particularly at this time where schools are reopening, people have to go to college, it's been very frustrating. They tell me that there was a clock in their system where some people have hijacked the application process, but I've said it is their duty to fix it and to make sure that we do not inconvenience, people who really have, because look, sometimes it can be a medical emergency, you know, it's a life and death situation. So, and we don't want a situation where people now have to travel to Liberia, to Sierra Leone, because they can't get a date.
Some even go as far as Angola.
Because they can't get a date in Ghana.
To get visas.
I mean, it's not acceptable. So I've mounted pressure. I've said they have to fix it, and I'll keep talking about it.
Let's deal with a couple more points. Presidential travel. The president is going to the UN, and he's still going to use a commercial flight. What is the status of the presidential jet?
The last briefing we had in cabinet is that the jet remains in France for servicing. So it is not available.
Do you know how long it's going to be there?
No indication at this point. No indication.
I remember when the helicopter crash occurred, the Otun Force said Ghanaians should not politicize air travel and prioritize the safety of our public officials. I'm not quoting him, but he said it in paraphrase, suggesting that if we need to get a new aircraft, let's get it, because the life of our leaders is very important. What would you need to see about the quality of our presidential jet to convince you that we need to get a new one?
So I think, first of all, in this discussion, we should look at best practice. All the countries we go to borrow from, we are begging them to renegotiate our debt that we cannot pay them. How do they conduct themselves? Do their leaders have presidential jets, pack it, and go charter ultra-luxury jets? There has been an attempt to distort what we were speaking against and what I was championing. I am saying that, like other countries, let's have a presidential travel policy. When there's a presidential jet in pristine condition, use it. Don't leave it, and then you go and be chattering. If you have issues with the jet, come to Parliament, open up, let's have a discussion. The monies we are wasting on those charters, then we can use it to get what will be beneficial to us. In the United States of America, if you are president and you use Air Force One for your private campaign, your private campaign is billed, you have to pay back, reimburse the American taxpayer. So that's best practice. So we should situate this discussion in proper context, within the context of value for money, of prudence, of frugality.
But the question is, who determines the quality or the state of the presidential jet? Because as we are speaking, the jet cannot fly our president.
Yes.
I'm sure in opposition, when Akufo-Addo was president, his people could argue that he had to charter flights because the jet was not in pristine condition.
They cannot argue that way because I gave them the opportunity in Parliament. I filed a question. The defense minister came to Parliament. I asked him pointedly, directly, what is the state of the jet? And the defense minister told me, and all Ghanaians, the records are there, that the jet is in good condition. It's airworthy. His words.
Is this 2022?
Yes.
Around May, June?
Yes. That's what the defense minister told us, not me. That the jet, and indeed, to be fair to the defense minister, at the time that President Akufo-Addo was refusing to use the presidential jet, other African leaders asked to use the jet and were using the jet, like President Weah, President Madabi of Sierra Leone, President Balo of Guinea. That's a fact, well documented.
They did not depend on where the jet was going.
You know, so
because a jet can do a short hop trip. If you are flying a jet from here to, say, Liberia, it's not the same as from here to France.
Again, I say people should go back to the facts. When we became broke, when he refused to listen to me, we were plunged into an IMF program. His last 1.5 years checked. All the places they were claiming our presidential jet could not go to. He flew the jet to those places, to Europe, to the Americas. All he needed to do was to do one stopover for refueling.
Fair enough.
It was the defense minister who told us that the main reason why the jet was not being used by President Akufo-Addo was that it wasn't luxurious enough.
Those his words?
That the president...
He didn't use the word luxury?
That the president could not shower.
Is that what he said?
He said yes.
In Parliament?
In Parliament.
He said it was not luxurious enough?
That the president could not shower in the jet.
That's what he said?
Yes.
I see.
It's documented. It's in the Hansard.
Fair enough. But my point is that now we have history to guide us.
Yes.
And we've also had a major air traffic disaster that has really saddened the nation. If our president is traveling to Japan or China or US, are you saying that he should keep going with commercial flights? Because we've said in the past that whatever. I mean, if the president is not in a good condition, why don't you come and tell Ghanaians that we need to buy a new one? What's wrong with that?
So, first of all, let's await the outcome of the investigations on the helicopter crash. We do not know at this point that the crash was because the jet was not fit for purpose. The helicopter was not fit for purpose.
I'm not even saying that.
So let's
I'm
wait.
not even saying. I'm saying that. I didn't. I'm saying that
the way you couch the question.
What I'm saying is that
can lend to that.
No, we do know that our presidential jet is in France for repair.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to put a president in a jet that they don't believe is absolutely perfect. That's my view. The accident only makes people more afraid. It doesn't mean that it was caused by faulty.
Good. So
that's what I'm saying.
Good. So I'm glad you agree with me that let's wait for the outcome of the investigations. Number two, the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has not complained that he is worried about flying commercial. He would not be the first president to do that. Most of our presidents did that, particularly when presidential jets were not available.
Is that more cost effective compared to owning, chartering, and commercial? If you put it all together, are you saying that you've done the work to say, as for example, UN, he may go with 50 people, I don't know how many. Are you telling me that that's a more cost-effective way of traveling?
Absolutely. Because the work I have done, if you look at what President Akufo-Addo was spending on these charters, an hour, and all the costs that come with it. It's nowhere near. When you charter a jet, talk to the aviation experts. Flying commercial, the total cost, comes nowhere near the cost of chartering these jets. Absolutely nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere near.
Beyond the
and this discussion should be situated within protecting the public purse, which President Akufo-Addo himself said he will ensure that he protects the public purse. And read the Hansard of 1999, when President Rawlings was trying to purchase the Gulfstream 3. President Akufo-Addo's argument. He talked about prudence. He talked about frugality. How this cannot be a priority when at the time you couldn't take care of students.
Yeah.
You know, so let us not run away from what is germane. What is germane is that, look, let's opt for what is prudent.
Yeah.
Look, the two are not mutually exclusive. You can still go for safety, the safety of our president, of our leaders, and still be frugal, be prudent.
What I've heard from you is that depending on what the final verdict is on the current jet, a decision will be made. That's good enough to hear. Because you are not an aviation expert, neither am I.
Yeah.
So whoever is repairing the jet will let the people of Ghana know if it is fit for purpose.
Absolutely.
But
and remember, I've emphasized that President Mahama is not competent. The last time I heard some people say that he was stranded in Dubai, which is totally false.
But do we have enough?
Totally false.
And I'm not talking of plane now. Do we have enough aircraft to facilitate his travel? Because obviously, the helicopter that crashed, we do know that sometimes it did carry the president. So it's one of the aircrafts he uses. So you would imagine that our fleet of aircraft that conveys our president, whether domestically, regionally, or internationally, should be beefed up. From where I sit, we are not sure if that helicopter has even been replaced.
It's not within my remit as foreign minister to know whether a jet has been replaced or not. And I'm sure
we will know in Parliament. Because usually when they are buying these things, they come to Parliament.
I'm sure that at the right time, in terms of the president's plan for our fleet, our air force, I'm sure that will be made public, and we shall all interrogate it in the best interest. At the end of the day, value for money, prudence, frugality, whilst balancing the safety. And let's look at best practice. The countries we go to beg for loans from, we are begging them for debt restructuring. Is that how their presidents live? Is that what they do? Like Arabian kings, chartering jets, abandoning their presidential jets. Have you ever heard a U.S. president abandon Air Force One and then he says, "I can't shower in it"? So I
also don't hear U.S. opposition politicians use their travel of their president on the political platform.
I haven't heard that. They do in terms of even the reimbursements. If they think you are abusing the jets, if you are using it to abuse incumbency, and you are not paying back, you are not reimbursing the taxpayer, it's a big deal in the United States of America and elsewhere. It's a big deal. I mean, there are even Western politicians who have been made to resign because of even the kind of travel they engage in, the kind of chartering that they did. You know, they have very high standards, and we are not asking for much. We are just saying that let us be prudent.
Finally.
And let us protect the public purse. That's all we are saying.
From anecdotal evidence, the foreign minister is possibly the most traveled minister apart from the president. In fact, the president hasn't traveled that much. You're a member of parliament. How is this job affecting your ability to still be MP to the North Tongue people that I know you love a lot?
Very much. My beloved constituents, as I call them. I must admit that it has not been easy, but I have found a very creative way of balancing. What I do is that I roll out a lot of projects. For example, tomorrow morning, I'm dashing in, and anytime I have to do a major travel, long travel, I rush to the constituency. So tomorrow morning, I'm doing a very nice program, my annual free chop box, free mattresses for those going to secondary school, which is a very popular program in the constituency. I will have that handed over personally to the students tomorrow before I leave for the UN General Assembly. We are doing projects now more than we've ever done before. All our secondary schools, we've started new dining hall projects, new assembly hall projects, new classroom projects. I'm currently constructing bungalows for teachers to get them, because
so do they understand that,
teachers.
Do they understand that as women you have to travel? So
yes.
they are not saying that we never see you?
Yes, so I'm not abandoning, and I've told them that to compensate for you not seeing me every weekend at the funerals and at the park.
How is our hospital? The one we built?
Yes, our CTFM is doing very well, fully equipped, and they now have a doctor, more nurses.
So now it's a full doctor there?
Full, yes, and it's doing very, very well, and I can't thank you and your listeners enough.
We have to visit Norton.
You have to come back. You have to come back. And let me also use the opportunity to thank the President and the Roads Minister. All our roads have been captured under the President Roads agenda, particularly the Sege Bato Mefe Road, the Aveima Asuchari Road, contractors on site, and then the Joapon Podoi to Abutia Road.
Wow.
So
even though you are not here, your road was there?
Yeah, and projects.
And the Volleyball Bridge is yours?
North